Hi, fabulous being, and welcome back to the Fab Over 40 show. Or if this is your first time listening, welcome, welcome, welcome. So, today is a little bit of a shift from the series, the theme that I've been going along, because I heard a quote yesterday that stopped me in my tracks. So, and it's inspired. So, it's taken a little detour. I feel aligned that I should share this. So, today's episode starts with a quote that I heard recently and is entitled by the same quote. And the quote is: stress isn't something we have, it is something that we do. I'll say it again, but add it on. So, stress isn't something we have, stress is something that we do. And it hit really, it hit home, it hit hard, it stuck with me, it resonated with me, it made me stop in my tracks. And honestly, at first I kept this revelation to myself, because life does contain difficult situations, responsibilities, uncertainty, real things that generally need handling and can be stressful. And part of me thought, people really wouldn't probably appreciate me hearing me say something like that. Like, are you kidding me? You're saying I'm doing this to myself? I'm not, and I'm not blaming for this. Some some listeners may have all, and I'm not blaming people for this. So some listeners may have already dropped off at that thought, and that's okay. They aren't ready for this information. And if you are still here, kudos to you. It shows you are, it shows you are open to self-responsibility. And trust me when I say, for many years, I wasn't. And the minute I took responsibility for my life, everything, or should I say, I should, that I took responsibility, or realized I should, wow, it was so powerful, it transformed my life. But the more I sat with it, the more I realized something. The external situation and our internal responses to it are not always the same thing. And maybe somebody listening today needed to hear that too. So I trusted my intuition, and here we go. So I related this to something that's happened in my personal life. And some of you may know, or I've mentioned it in other areas or on a podcast, that I've been helping my dad through a life transition recently. He's now in a care home, he's 94, and I'm handling the sale of his house and everything that comes with that, and a whole lot more with my dad. And honestly, every time one thing gets resolved, another thing appears. And despite him openly saying he couldn't deal with any of this himself, every time I visit him, I hear things like, when this gets sorted, I'll relax. If that gets fixed, I'll sleep. Once this house has gone through, I will feel better, I'll sleep better. And realize, and it was frustrating, because he's saying that he can't do anything, but he chooses not to do anything. And he lays all the responsibility on me. And I just feel like everything I was doing is never good enough. And he's creating all this stress for himself unnecessarily, because I'm the one that's dealing with it. And then I realised something, like I said, is important. Sometimes stress becomes subconscious, a habit of being, because every single one of us has this problem eventually. Every single one of his problems, I've done that in air quotes, eventually gets resolved by me, usually, mostly. But almost immediately, his mind searches for the next thing to worry about. Every time I visit him for year after year after year, I go there and it's all about what he's stressing about. And the hardest part, bless him, he's no idea that he's doing it. He's 94, like I said earlier, so he's not going to change as much as I want him to. And honestly, how many of us are doing exactly the same thing in our own lives? I did record an episode a few weeks ago about introspection, and that's something the word and terminology is only something that I've come across and thought about. But we keep ourselves so busy, we don't introspect. And it made me stop and think. Personally, despite how many times I say I wouldn't do it, I would fall back into a pattern of putting his needs over mine. And then I would feel angry and frustrated and out of alignment. But this was a choice I was making. So I was feeling stressed because I'm trying to resolve things so that he won't be stressed, but there's always something else. And then I feel like he's ungrateful and I get stressed. But then I say, I'm not going to do this again. And then I do. I find myself subconsciously thinking, I won't go to the gym. I'll get that done because that'll take half an hour. And 4.5 hours later, I've only just spent it. And then I'm mentally exhausted. And then I look at the clock and think, no, I'm not going to the gym now. I made that decision. I just thought the quicker I got things sorted, the quicker I sort of get my life back. But recently I turned 60 and I decided my word, the beginning of the year, my word is alignment. It still is, but I've got a new one now. I've got boundaries. I'm aware of this pattern I keep falling into. I'm going to use introspection and I'm calling boundaries. And I won't answer the phone if he calls if it's inappropriate for me. I will align myself and visit him or speak to him when I'm ready. And that might sound cruel for some people, but I say it is self-preservation. Like I said, so this quote made me reflect deeply on myself too. And if I'm really honest, most of my past decisions in life and in business were made from subconscious fear. I was doing things that I enjoyed, but in the background, I was saying, if I could just make more money, if I could get a better paying job before I had my, if I could get this funnel working when I learned about funnels and online marketing, if I could just build another online income stream. I was believing that peace existed somewhere after the next result. And recently I started to connect this back to my childhood. One of my earliest memories is waking up in the night or coming down in the morning and finding my mum sitting doing on little notepads. And as a child, I remember thinking, because I remember the first time I did seen this, I got this vivid memory now, this coffee table, this living area, and we moved from that house when I was 8. So it was before I was 8. And I remember thinking, why is my mum doing sums? She doesn't go to school anymore. She don't have to do maths. But now I understand she was trying to work out how to make ends meet, to pay the bills, balance everything. Because again, there was a pattern. Again, my dad wouldn't take responsibilities and would leave my mum to sort everything out. And his mum before her, and now me. And again, it was the subconscious, and I can see that now. Again, my mum had a pattern of taking control of everything. And without realizing it, I was growing up inside an environment of fear and lack around money. Not because my parents were bad, far from it. They didn't know any different. And that's why I feel we're living in an amazing time. We have grown and expanded. Our parents were doing the best they could from what they learnt from their parents, but we've got so much available to us now. And like my mum, I became a strong person, or some people say that I'm strong, and that seemed to attract people who needed resolving problems, like my dad, and I would take care of them. But looking back, again, like my mum, I found it difficult to go to others and would get my head down and try to sort my own problems out. I found it difficult, or find it difficult, to reach out. Another subconscious pattern picked up in childhood. Me and my mum solving everybody else's problems, growing up and lacking fear and mentality mindset about money. How many of us grown up with that subconsciously picked it up? And then being this strong woman that helped other people but couldn't reach out and uh, help to get others to help ourselves and have to sort everything out. But now, like I said, we live in a completely different era. Now we have access and awareness to things like thought patterns, subconscious programming, wealth consciousness, alignment. Is becoming more and more, popular is the right word, but it's more of, like I said, our parents didn't know anything like that. They couldn't change it because they weren't aware of it. But we're coming more aware. They didn't have the internet. We've got the internet. We can talk to people all over the world. We can access mentors, coaches, informations, free or paid, all over the world. So I think we're expanding, and this is an incredible time. And having this opportunity, the awareness changes everything. Also, recently, I heard something else I thought that I might talk about today because it landed deeply for me. That fear and anxiety can actually be signals that we are out of alignment. They're not something to be scared of, it's a signal. So, not to punish ourselves for being scared. It's not a failure, it's just an awareness. It's a key. When we feel that, I don't know where you feel it, in your gut or your heart, or you get hot, it's your body trying to tell you, hey, you're out of alignment. You don't have to do this on your own. There's source energy. Everything is energy. If you quiet down and breathe, you can tap in to alignment, intuition, and you can solve problems. So now when I notice myself feeling anxious or overwhelmed, instead of panicking or trying immediately to fix everything, because when I felt that fear, I'd be like, right, what can I do next? What can I do in my business? What training can I do? Or what should I be? It's always do, that masculine energy. But now, instead of trying to fix everything, I've started to get into that mental pattern of I pause, I breathe, and I can ask myself something like, am I choosing fear right now or am I choosing faith? I've aware for a long time how important faith is, faith in something manifesting, faith in something working out, but I really haven't studied it and really embodied it. And that's what I'm working on myself at the moment. And so if I feel myself going into Mrs. Fix-It mode, I will literally go the other way and do nothing. This is a new, more empowering pattern for me, and I'm creating it for myself. And I know that I will probably fall back sometimes, but these tools are helping me to get back into alignment and trust. So if I find myself thinking about my dad or being frustrated or feeling anxious or scared, I can use that as a signal and immediately change the thought into something more empowering. And gradually, I'm going to change my identity. And the other day, well, no, actually, it was this morning and yesterday, I was thinking about sort of money mindset and awareness. And instantly, I was thinking, oh, I could do better at this. And I suddenly realized, I was listening to something on YouTube while I was in my car. Well, wasn't watching it, was listening to it through my speaker. And my instant reaction was, yeah, fine, I'd like that. And instead of going, oh, you're so lucky, I can't have that, I thought, yeah, my money mindset is changing. I am not in lack and limitation as much. So I have transformed, but I'm going to try and use these tools to get me back to, only yesterday, yeah, this is when it happened. I was walking somewhere and this fear popped up in my mind, this thought popped in my mind, and I thought, that's a fear thought. Nope, change it out, change it to something else. Not having it. So this has completely also changed what I talked about, touched on earlier, how I approach learning and investing in myself too. So I know where I want to go, where I'm building my business. And yeah, I was going to explain something, but no, I don't know. But I see this vision. I know it's already done. So each step I take is working towards that. Other people may be saying, do this, do that. And I'm like, no, that doesn't align with me. I've expanded differently to that. And but before, like I said, I was acting out of fear, make more money, got to get this working, got to bring some more income in. So actually, when I started doing these things, I was loving it, but I didn't see the underlying thing that was lack and limitation and fear. So I was buying these courses, and but now I'm switching my mindset, and instead of acting out of fear, and I'm like, I seen a course recently and I've actually invested in it, and it starts this week. There's going to be some live streams. I'm not going to be able to access it because I'm traveling again, going to my second home, Crete. And but the videos will be available. It's one of my favorite, my favorite mentors in the world. But as I looked at it, it's like, yeah, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to teach other people. I don't feel as myself to. I'm act, I'm acting in a certain way, and if that helps people, oh, I want to do that too. I've sort of gone past the teacher role kind of thing. I want to embody stuff and be an example rather than teach. But I love this person. They've already made a success of their life. They're getting it. They're getting where my mind's going. So I'm looking, going, yeah, I'm going to invest that money because that's going to help my business because I can learn from them because they're further along the line than me. And a lot of the thoughts patterns I have today was because of this person. So it made sense. I'm not buying the courses from desperation anymore, saying this will fix things, this will solve my lack, this will finally make everything work for me. But now the energy is completely different. Now it's like, oh, this looks interesting. I'd love to learn this. And like I said, this could enhance what I'm already building. I'm not fixing myself. I see that I'm expanding myself. And honestly, that shift in energy is changing everything for me. Because maybe peace isn't waiting for us after everything gets fixed. Maybe peace is something we can choose and practice now. And then things align and get fixed anyway. And this leads me to a mantra I now say to myself almost automatically. if a fear does bubble up, it just comes into my mind and it's that thought that switches. Everything is working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. I can be driving, okay, and it just goes, it's okay. Everything's working out for me because everything always works out for me. And honestly, please feel free to borrow it, because when stress rises up now, I try to see it differently, not as proof of everything is falling apart, but as a signal I've moved out of alignment and a reminder to me to connect back into faith instead of acting out of fear. Now, I'm not saying difficult things don't happen, because they obviously do for all of us. It's a lot of law of attraction and positive mindset, and that it's like you've got to focus on being positive all the time. No, life is life. Let's admit that life is life, but we can choose to react differently, and we can fall back off the wagon, as I call it, and get back on the wagon. And the more that you do this stuff, trust me, over the years, you do get back on the wagon quite quickly, quicker, or automatically. But you got to try it out first. So, but I do believe that we have more power in how we respond than we realize now. But we've got, like I said before, we've got all these tools around us. And maybe alignment isn't about controlling life perfectly. Maybe it's learning not to abandon ourselves inside it, like I have done. So if this resonates and you like a simple starting point for bringing awareness and alignment and action together, I've created something called the Aligned and Free Reset. And it's a free resource. I've got a more in-depth one that's a paid resource, but there's for everybody to help you think, oh yeah, this sounds so simple. I'm stressed out all the time. You talk about alignment, how do I get aligned? I want more and more people to be able to tune into themselves and align and raise the vibration of the planet. So I've put the link in the show notes. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me. It's a little bit garbled. I've sort of been downloading this information. I've got notes, but I'm sort of winging it really. And it's like a different topic, and it's so, and thank you for listening. I just wanted to leave you with something that I wasn't going to add in. But if you have dreamed of waking up doing something that you love, maybe you feel like you've had that inkling that you should start a podcast or something else, write a blog, YouTube channel, start an online business. You have had that inspired action, that nudge, got excited, and then allowed another next thought to talk you out of it. The first thought, the sponsoring thought, is always the right thought, I believe. It's the one that comes from the source, universe, your soul, God, whatever you choose to call it, whatever feels comfortable for you. But please start to try get into a habit of acting on the inspired action, the first thought, because it's not wrong. It's like a higher power speaking to you. When I first had the nudge to start my blog, my first post, my heart was literally pounding out of my chest when I was going to share it. But there were so many synchronicities leading up to it. I trusted it and I knew that I had to do it and I had to go over that fear. Then I felt the urge to start a podcast, and honestly, it would literally take me hours to record it. Every fluff, I would start again. It had to be perfect. But one of my mentors in a book that I've got is Start Now, Get Perfect Later. I totally agree with that now. That's why I needed to get this information out. And if it's a bit fluffy and it's a bit all over the place, I don't care anymore. I think that helps people, that you don't have to be perfect. And there was a first version of this podcast, and I deleted all the episodes, and I seriously regret that now. And even more recently, I've expanded to a new level of awareness. So I adapted and started again in alignment with the theme and the content of this. But this time I kept all the old episodes. And if you're listening to this on a podcast app, etc., and not the YouTube channel, because I didn't have the YouTube channel then, I recorded an episode that I do not know why, but had the highest amount of listens and downloads. And it was called something like, it is there. Like I said, if you're on a podcast app, it will be there. And it was something like, don't drink the compare slogger. And this is a term that I got from one of my first mentors, Marie Forleo. And she spoke about a horrible drink she used to drink when she was a student, and it was called something Schlogger. You may have heard it, and maybe you know it. And she said it was nasty tasting, but it was cheap and it helped them get drunk. And that is what we do when we compare ourselves to others and feel bad and think we're not good enough. We're drinking the compare Schlogger. And the other day I listened to, for me, a really good training. I really liked what this person was saying. I have a portal. I subscribe to. I got a lifetime access to this portal of trainings by a specific person. And in the beginning, when I invested in it last year, you got your own coach, and they were like, "Oh, do this, this, and this." And then because of my dad, I sort of fell out of alignment, felt a bit guilty, didn't want to contact. And I felt called the other day to go back into this vault, and I thought, I'm just going to look for all the courses and I'm going to take pictures of each one that I aligned to. And then I edited the pictures, made them lighter, and made crop them, and then put it into an album. And then I scrolled through that, and then I've seen this particular training and thought, and it was an interview, and it was somebody, not the actual host of this portal, but an interview with somebody else. And I thought, yeah, that's the one I want to listen to. And I really like this person. And sorry, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, so I listened to this tune at the end. Yeah, so I really aligned to this person. I liked what they had said. It made sense to where I am now in my expansion and my awareness. And at the end of the training, the trainer invited people to join a Facebook group and listen to their podcast. So there was a link to join the Facebook group, which I clicked on, and I expected to. I don't know. I just expected there to be thousands in the group, and there was only a few. It wasn't even. It was far less than 100. And this actually got me thinking. I have a Facebook group, and honestly, at Christmas, after a new level, just before Christmas, after a new level of awareness, I was like, right, let's get this Facebook group up and running again. I committed to all the different posts. But as the weeks went on, I've had another expansion. I've had two like massive expansions in the last 6 months. And it's really funny because I was listening to other people the other day and they're all saying the same thing. And but as the weeks went on, I posted less and less, and I just didn't feel this was where my energy was going. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I felt out of alignment with it. So I found myself feeling, yeah, I'm okay. I reconciled myself with this. And I decided to be authentic and not force myself to post for the sake of posting. If it feels right to go back in it and regenerate it, it will. But if it doesn't, no, then maybe this is what happened to this person. But then when I searched for the podcast and found, to me, even more surprisingly, that the podcast only had a few episodes and nothing had been posted for several years. I thought this was all quite fresh because it wasn't in the portal the last time I looked. And it looked like it had all fizzled out. Why? I don't honestly know. But here was someone I aligned to her message and enjoyed her content and wanted to be around their energy more, and now they're nowhere to be found. Maybe, just maybe, they had fear and doubt about themselves. Maybe they drank the compare slogger and thought, what's the point? And now here I am, liking their message, liking their energy, but they've gone. Now, I love making this podcast episodes and I don't feel petrified anymore, like I said I did in the beginning. And honestly, I don't look to see if anyone's listening. I don't look at the stats, the analytics, which is going completely against most common consensus. But I'm not concerned what the masses say. I just care about what my intuition says. And the other day, my newest mentor said, um, whose growth is, it wasn't about the money so much. It was just, wow, I like that person, like this person, but this person is like the universe brought me this person when I was getting really frustrated about my dad and stuff. I'd never heard of them before, and then this YouTube video popped up, and then I've bought their books and everything, and I'm looking into investing in like more deeper courses with them, and yeah, their growth is exponential in just such a short space of time. They are doing things so differently. And I was like, this is a person I need to be around. And someone said to her, when I was listening to this podcast the other day of hers, she said people talk to her about what her competitors are doing. And she said, I don't look at anyone, what anyone else is doing. She says, I don't believe there are competitors. She believes everyone is delivering their message in their own unique way, and we are equally brilliant at what we do, and we all have a purpose to serve and an audience to serve. So I wasn't planning to say this, and I know it's gone on longer than usual. So if you have a calling inside of you, a burning desire, just know you are the best at doing that thing, and there is an audience of people who need you to show up and serve them. I just felt aligned to add that on the end because of my experience with that person who impressed me, but I can't find them. And in the last couple of days, I feel I had a purpose to share it to someone that could hear this. And if that person is you, I would love to know about it. So come on over to your favorite form of social media and tell me why it resonated with you. I'm always at Alison K. Parsons. And one last thing at the time of recording, I'm currently building out a space, an ecosystem as I see it, that I have been divinely drawn to create for women who want to know they are, or know they want, have more in them to offer and are meant to live a more expanded life. And it's going to be a network and a mastermind with like-minded women. And if this sounds like you, if you go to the show notes and get that free aligned reset that I talked about, you will automatically be put on the wait list, email list, and you will be first to know about it when it goes live. And if you're listening to it after it's gone live, still grab the free reset, and the emails that come after you grab it will automatically be updated, telling you about it and giving you an opportunity to join. So like I keep saying, I know this episode is a bit longer than usual. I'm just going with the flow. I'm trusting it. And what I'm trying to say with that person that disappeared, we just got to keep going. Even though when it feels harder or whatever, trust the process that there's an audience out there for you. Don't give up. Don't delete the podcast like I did. I wish I didn't do that now. Just show up for you and feel and trust and check into your gut, and then share with the world what you're meant to share. And I believe that your audience is out there. So I said, so just for now, if you just know, I'm going to close it out here. You are already amazing. You were born amazing. And this is a space to remember who you truly are, align with that version of her, and rise up to the next expanded level of who you came to be. And I'll leave it there, and I'll speak to you on the next episode. Lots of love, Ali.